And first thing in the morning, with further snow showers coming into Northern Ireland, Western Scotland and northwest England. A few wintry showers elsewhere, and then we're looking at a zone of cloudier and wetter weather coming into South Wales and southwest England around the middle of the day. That'll be mostly rain, but again, some snow is possible over the hills. Much of the east dry and bright during the course of tomorrow, but feeling cold, especially with a fairly brisk breeze. Still quite a few showers across the south for a time during Friday evening, but then turning largely dry, clear and cold with a more extensive frost before. Out west, more cloud and rain comes marching in for the weekend. That will again bring some snow over the hills of northern England for a time on Saturday morning and across parts of Scotland too. But turning back to rain as we see milder air moving in with this weather system bringing a fairly soggy Saturday. Western parts turning drier and brighter in the afternoon, but even then there will be showers coming along. Turning a bit milder on Saturday, but obviously not feeling all that pleasant with the breeze and the rain. That scoots away, and Sunday compared to Saturday looking much drier and much brighter with the winds a touch lighter as well. Goodbye.
Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
Hello there, I'm Eamon.
And I'm Isabel.
And you're watching the GB News digital stream across the United Kingdom.
And around the world.
If you're here in the UK, you can also watch us on your TV screen. GB News is Freeview channel 236.
On Sky, we're channel 515.
626 on Virgin Media.
Just remember, you might need to retune your TV to watch the channel.
Yeah, and if you are doing that, find out more about retuning by going to gbnews.uk.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilized conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
Guys. Hello, my name's Dominic Frisby and this is Headliners, the show in which comedians look at tomorrow's papers the night before. And you are shortly going to discover who those comedians are. Gosh, it's exciting. Can you stand the suspense? First, though, it's the news with Tamsin Roberts.
Dominic, thank you. Here are the top stories. US President Joe Biden has called Donald Trump a threat to democracy on the first anniversary of the Capitol Hill insurrection. Democrats have held a candlelit vigil in Washington, D.C., the Speaker of the US House of Representatives paying tribute to the officers who defended Congress. 4 people died on the 6th of January last year, and 1 Capitol Police officer died the day after. In an address to the nation earlier, President Biden says Donald Trump is responsible as he spread a web of lies about the 2020 election.
He's done so because he values power over principle, because he sees his own interest as more important than his country's interest, than America's interest, and because his bruised ego matters more to him than our democracy or our Constitution.
The government has defended plans to increase national insurance. It's after Commons leader Jacob Rees-Mogg asked the move to be scrapped to help families cope with the cost of living. From April, it's set to rise by 1.25%. Transport Secretary Grant Shapps says it's a historic decision to try and save the NHS and social care.
We think it's absolutely right that we do two things. One, clear up the very big backlog of operations and procedures that haven't been able to take place because the NHS has been so remarkably dealing with coronavirus. And two, make sure that we deal with the long-term problem of social care.
Boris Johnson has hit out at what he's calling mumbo-jumbo of anti-vaccination campaigns on social media. The Prime Minister made the comments during a visit to a vaccination centre in Northampton earlier. It's as he denies suggestions the NHS doesn't have the staff to cope with pressures brought on by the Omicron variant.
You've got people out there spouting complete nonsense about a vaccination. It's time that government, call them out on what they're doing. It is absolutely wrong, it's totally counterproductive, and the stuff they're putting out on social media is complete mumbo-jumbo.
The UK has condemned acts of violence in Kazakhstan after 2,000 people have been arrested amid ongoing clashes. Russia has sent paratroopers to the country following reports of soldiers firing at protesters in central Almaty. 18 members of Kazakhstan's security force have been killed, and police say dozens of rioters were killed yesterday. The Foreign Secretary Liz Truss says the UK will coordinate with its allies on what action should be taken. A commemorative coin has been unveiled by the Royal Mint ahead of Her Majesty's Platinum Jubilee. Marking 70 years on the throne, it depicts the Queen on horseback and was designed by artist John Bergdahl. It's the first collectible 50p to celebrate a royal event. Well, those are the headlines. Now it's back to Dominic.
Thank you very much. Hello and welcome to Headliners, the nation's favourite paper review show that has comedians in it. I'm Dominic Frisby. The headlines are in, so let's take a look at what they are. And we start with the Daily Mail, which has the PM saying vandals can't change our history. That's in reaction to the Colston statue verdict from yesterday. And also Mrs. Markle says bullying is word used to harm Meghan's lawyer. Not quite sure what that's all about, but I'm sure we'll find out. The Guardian has Tory peer secretly involved in firm given PPE contracts, and PM facing corruption claim over number 11 refurb. It's sleazy, sleazy, sleaze. The Times has second Maxwell juror was abused. That's the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. She may have grounds for a retrial, say legal experts, amid questions over the jury selection process. Meanwhile, Djokovic is being held captive in migrant hotel, say family. It's a political agenda, I'll say. And so we move on to the Telegraph, which has 1 million to be pulled into higher rate tax. This is a story with rather large implications, I'd say, the biggest cost of living crisis for a generation. There's also Djokovic's father says player is being crucified. Crucified might be a bit extreme, but that's what he said. And PM in wallpaper for access row over donors' plans for exhibition. The FT has Biden fears threat to democracy 1 year on from the Capitol assault. You saw Joe Biden's speech there just in the news laying into Donald Trump. And also Wood's flagship ARC fund hit by $300 million withdrawals as investors dump techs. That's the big sell-off in tech stocks that we saw yesterday. One swallow does not a summer make. Some premature congratulation there from the FT, which is not the biggest fan of Cathy Woods. A very good one from the Metro today, not quite Daily Star quality, but getting there. Prisoner Seljuk H, tennis star in a guarded room with no change of clothes. The Independent has PM in new sleaze claims over flat refurbishment, and rioters held dagger at throat of US. That was Biden speaking in a forthright manner about the Capitol riots last year. The Express has the cost of living story. Cost of living squeeze will hit over 65s hardest. I'm not sure about that. Most of them own houses, but inflation anyway. The Sun leads with Piers Troll arrested over death threats. That's Piers Morgan, not Piers Corbyn. And finally, the Mirror has Desperate Andrew's 17 million ski chalet sale. He might need some extra cash for some reason. I can't think what. And finally, we have the Daily Star, which has should have gone to Spocksavers. All hail the Daily Star. Apparently, astronauts are going blind due to space travel. And so to tonight's guests. We have a man who has fathered almost as many children as Boris Johnson, yet all with the same woman. It's Josh Howie.
Hey, mate.
And we have the city of Graz in Austria gave us Mr. Universe, Arnold Schwarzenegger. How did Kendal in Cumbria respond with Nick Dixon?
Thank you. I was worried that was going to be insulting, but it was really nice.
Well, it was sort of could be read one way or the other, and I was interesting to see whether you saw the positive or the negative in that barbed comment.
All positive. Love Arnie.
Good. Did you both have a good Christmas, gents? We're on the 12th day today, of course.
Yeah, it's all good. All good. Nice to be back.
What did you get? A nice present, Josh?
Yes, coming back here away from my family. The best present you could ask for.
And how about you, Nick? What was your best present?
Not really. What I get now, my brother gives me like a little note every year that says he'll help me.
I thought you would have said dead arm.
No. He had that as well. He says he'll help me buy something for my flat, like furniture, and then he just never does. I just get a series of notes.
But money notes or,
no,
or post-it notes?
No, like IOUs.
Okay.
What did you get him?
Pen and paper. I got him something really good. I got him a thing called an alpha ball, which is to like massage, like if you've got like back pain and stuff. Yeah. It was a really good practical present.
That's not enough.
Does he see it as positively as you do?
Yeah, he said it was the best present he has, like a practical present that actually works.
Well, there you go. Good presents. And we're going to start with sleaze on that note. Sleaze in the Times. Boris Johnson is embroiled in another row over the omission of inconvenient truths. Lloyd Geit is the independent advisor on ministers' interests, a.k.a. the ethics advisor. I love these titles. And it has emerged today from a letter he wrote to Boris Johnson that he doubts whether he would have cleared Johnson of breaching sleaze rules over the refurbishment of his Downing Street flat had he known about certain texts that Johnson sent to the millionaire Tory donor Lord Brownlow. Johnson says he failed to disclose the texts because he had changed his phone after his number had become publicly available. I didn't realise Boris Johnson's number became publicly available. I assume he got all sorts of unwanted phone calls, but he no longer had the old phone. Security had it, and he did not recall the message exchange. But he offered, and I quote, a humble and sincere apology. No doubt Johnson's enemies are going to jump on this, and he has previous, which isn't going to do him any favours. What do we think, folks? Guilty or not guilty? Nick, what's your view?
Yeah, well, what Boris did, he did a sort of classic thing. He basically said, new phone, who dis? He said that he said that he changed his WhatsApp number so that he didn't have access. He changed his phone number, like he said, so he didn't have access to the WhatsApp messages. Of course, that's not really how it works. You can easily access your WhatsApp messages, some cynics have pointed out, on the internet.
Yeah.
Even if you change your phone number. So it wasn't a great excuse. But yes, basically, he should have disclosed these messages at the time. And yeah, Lord Gate has said it could have been a very different outcome.
But he could access them, but he might just have not accessed them because he's kind of. You don't imagine he's that technically competent, do you?
How dare you?
You're not going to phone up Boris Johnson if your computer needs repairing.
Right. Well, yeah, we don't know if he could have. Yes, you're saying he just didn't access them.
Yeah.
Some people, Angela Rayner says it's a pretty thin excuse.
You imagine he gets a lot of messages and he doesn't. You know, some people don't respond to their WhatsApp messages. It's quite annoying. I imagine Boris Johnson would be one of those people.
He seems to respond to a lot from Dominic Cummings, doesn't he, though? There seems to be an awful lot of WhatsApp messages from Boris.
That's what I think. I think we've got a new lockdown coming. Basically, if you do a graph of every time one of his lies gets caught out, suddenly it's like, oh, we're going to have another lockdown. Literally, I'm sure you can superimpose the two over each other.
So what's the next letter over Omicron?
I don't know. I think whatever the next thing that's going to be coming out, he's like praying for some like new mutation, so he can hide this. He's obviously lied. He's been totally caught out. Like every angle of this has been caught out. He's like, yeah, no, I didn't know before, and now he's just like, it's so obvious that he knew. It's in his own words that he knew that this is where the money was coming from. I don't see how he can get away with this unless there is another lockdown.
I thought there was a sort of bit of respite for Johnson. He sort of like had a bad time going into Christmas, and he sort of came into the new year last 2 or 3 days. He sort of got his energy back. But you obviously not. You don't look at the world
just
through the same spectacles as I do.
But the thing is, it's almost like it's so expected now that people. It's whether there's going to be genuine outrage out there in the street or not. People know that he's a liar. And now are they used to it? Are they just going to forgive him and go, oh yeah, that's just he's a liar, isn't he? He's that mate down the pub who just.
I find it quite interesting. The Guardian, the Independent, all the lefties are all over this story, and all the sort of the Telegraph and the Express, all the righties are all talking about the cost of living crisis.
Yeah,
quite interesting. The different agenda on a sort of this is a kind of no news day really at the end.
But this is a big story. I mean, this is our Prime Minister. I'm sorry, you could say allegedly. To me,
just helping him out.
He's just lied. He's just been caught out lying. He can say, "Oh, I forgot." Like he wrote those words down that he knew. Oh yeah, thanks, mate. Thanks. Can I sort the money out? Can you sort the? Yeah, mate. I sorted the money out. It's all right. There's you go. Oh, I totally forgot that happened. And the person that is ridiculous is, I'm sorry to say, but the. Lord Gate, who's, supposed to be the person who's meant to be taking charge and looking into this and stuff, he's like, I was going to quit, but now I'm not going to quit because Boris has promised me that I'm going to get some better laws and we're going to have, more people working for me and stuff. It's like, don't take his word. He's like, yeah, in April is like, you're going to get the rewards. Like, why? You know that he's lied here.
One of the things I liked in the story was the name of the interior designer.
Yeah, Lulu.
Was it Lulu something?
Lulu Little.
Lulu Little.
Yeah.
If you were writing an interior designer in a sitcom,
yeah.
It's got to be called Lulu Little. Right, let's move on to our next story, and this is another sort of serious one. It's from the Telegraph. More than 1 million people are set to be dragged into the higher rate tax-banned House of Commons research shows, with economists warning that Britain is facing the biggest cost of living crisis for a generation. This is, of course, a consequence of all the money printing that's been going on, and the UK isn't alone. Inflation is a global problem. Look at what's happening in Kazakhstan. We're going to come to that in a bit. But when thresholds get frozen, and yet you have rapid wage and price inflation, more money gets debased, in other words, more and more people fall into higher tax thresholds. Some 1.2 million in this case, and they end up paying more taxes just as their cost of living costs rise too. And this is happening under a Conservative government, which is supposedly in favour of low taxes. It's rather concerning. Less and less of your labour is yours, and more belongs to the state. And there are rifts in the cabinet. Jacob Rees-Mogg is urging Rishi Sunak to abandon rises to national insurance, but when you spend more than you earn and you print money, this is what happens. But I will say this is sort of a big, deep thought that I'm going to end this one with. Just about every major political revolution in history was preceded by rampant inflation and higher taxes. And you think of all the division and you think, ooh, where are we going? It's rather worrying. Are you both... What about you, Nick? Are you being dragged into the higher
I'm a little
tax
worried.
bracket?
I'm worried about this. It says an extra 1.5 million low-paid earners will be pushed into the 20p basic tax rate, which starts at £12,570. Seems almost like a personal attack.
You've got a long way to go, surely. You're fine.
I'm fine. I'm smashing it. But look, comedians are known for kind of milking their expenses, aren't they? I'm always completely honest and always pay the correct amount. But I don't. These are really. This is more your area than mine, Dom. I mean, the only thing that really scares me is hyperinflation. Because I was listening to a podcast that said if we had hyperinflation, we could easily end up in an agrarian society, would just be plunged back to 200 years ago. Do you see that happening?
I think it's extremely unlikely, but we are. I mean, inflation's already 5 or 6%, and the monetary policy is behaving as though it's 0 or 1%. So there's a big disconnect, and
5.1% higher.
Just some of our viewers who might not be up on all of this, put it another way. What's its six-pack has gone from £1 to £1.25 on the special deal.
That sums it up well. Or the other way they do it is you get fewer Watsits in your pack.
I definitely noticed a lot less Watsits.
To hard times.
Yeah.
Let me ask you both a question. What is the most expensive purchase you will ever make in your life?
Marriage.
you can't buy marriage. Well, not
yeah, you know,
maybe in your culture, but go on.
Oh, children, surely.
Yeah, again, you can't buy children. They are a big expense. But the most expensive purchase you ever make. I'll accept that. Children, marriage, a family.
Well, it's a trick question. You want to say something like your house, but you're going to say something like the principle of your brother's. You're going to say some libertarian thing.
It is a trick question. The most commonly given answer is a house. People think the house is the most expensive thing you ever buy, but by far and away, the most expensive purchase you ever make is your government. And over the course
that's where you were going.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy a new government.
Yeah, and that's well, if only you could. If only that new ones were available on Amazon, all you get is a sort of vote every 5 years of questionable efficacy.
You were worried about revolution a minute ago, but you actually want to get rid of the government, don't you?
Man, down with the government.
I would say to the viewers, we've got some really good stories coming up. You don't want to hear about tax.
We're going to overthrow the government. Well, everyone goes, tax is boring. It's not. It's at the heart of everything. It is at the heart of everything. I've written a book about it, so I witter on. Right, to our next story.
That's what you got your brother for Christmas, wasn't it?
That's what you should. Yeah, I was hoping one of you would at least would have got the accountant in the family, my book in tax. But anyway, so to our next story, reported in The Guardian and elsewhere, which takes us to the Central Asian Republic of Kazakhstan, where the authorities appear to have lost control. Runaway inflation, there it is again, has led to riots and violent clashes with dozens killed. And now the president has called in a Russian-led peacekeeping force. Nick?
Yes. Well, I'm not quite sure why they come to me on this story, because I only just found out that Kazakhstan was a real place, but I'll give it a crack. Yes, Russian paratroopers arrive in Kazakhstan as unrest continues. I'm joking, obviously, I know a lot of things. So Russian paratroopers have arrived in Kazakhstan as part of a peacekeeping mission by a Moscow-led military alliance to help the president regain control of the country, according to Russian news agencies, and there seems no reason to question them. So, yeah, whether it's a peacekeeping... So basically, my understanding of it is that there's been riots around fuel prices in Kazakhstan, and that's all kicked off. So things have got very edgy, and now the Russians are stepping in to try and calm it down. I mean, look, it says here the National Bank of Kazakhstan has suspended all financial institutions. The internet in the country is mostly down, as well as mobile phone reception, which is really annoying when you're trying to do a riot and overthrow a government. You can't even contact anyone. So, yeah, that's broadly what's happening.
That's what happens in a hyperinflationary scenario. You were asking me what happens in a hyperinflation in that. And it's quite interesting they've turned the internet off.
But are the fuel
also, we don't know how much internet there was in the first place. I'm just going from what I saw on Borat. That's my knowledge of Kazakhstan.
Is the fuel price to do with inflation? I thought it was to do with, there's a situation where it's cheaper to actually export it or something, and domestic prices have gone up.
I think what happened, and again, I'm not entirely sure, but they suppressed the fuel price, and then they stopped the suppression and just set the fuel price to whatever the market price was, which was considerably higher than the suppressed fuel price. And the result was riots.
Also, their Wotsits have gone up a huge amount. That's what I've heard.
They can't even get Wotsits in Kazakhstan.
But it's not just the fuel. I mean, it's an incredibly corrupt society. And the person, their prime minister is, the president is, it's all given to their friends, all the big jobs and all the money. And so it's... they're not just writing about food.
I'll give you a little Kazakhstan fact. It is the second biggest country in the world for Bitcoin mining. And as a result, all the Bitcoin mining operations have been shut down. And the Bitcoin hash rate has declined by 12.5% over the last 24 hours. How about that for a stat?
Well, another fact about it was the third largest nuclear power in the world when it became independent from Russia in 1991.
Huge resources of uranium. Hence why it's a Bitcoin mining centre. There you go. Who knew? Right, we have reached the end of part one. It is time for the weather, then some ads, and we'll be back with part two and some juicy and rather more comedic stories in just a moment. Don't go anywhere.
It's time to remind ourselves there's always another winter. Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
Good evening. It's another cold one out there tonight. Not quite as frosty as last night, but still the potential for things to be problematic in the morning. Some heavy snow showers in places and likely to be quite icy as well. We've seen this set of weather fronts crossing the country, bringing rain and some hill snow. Behind it, the isobars pinching together, so a blustery night, and particularly across Western Scotland, Northern Ireland, showers coming in here, northwest England too. A mixture with those showers with hail, sleet, but also some snow, mostly over hills, but even at low levels, you may wake up to a centimetre or two. So we do have a yellow warning in place. Further south and east, most places dry and clear and cold, but not quite as cold as last night. It could be quite icy then first thing in the morning, with further snow showers coming into Northern Ireland, Western Scotland and northwest England. A few wintry showers elsewhere, and then we're looking at a zone of cloudier and wetter weather coming into South Wales and southwest England around the middle of the day. That'll be mostly rain, but again, some snow is possible over the hills. Much of the east dry and bright during the course of tomorrow, but feeling cold, especially with a fairly brisk breeze. Still quite a few showers across the south for a time during Friday evening, but then turning largely dry, clear and cold with a more extensive frost before. Out west, more cloud and rain comes marching in for the weekend. That will again bring some snow over the hills of northern England for a time on Saturday morning and across parts of Scotland too. But turning back to rain as we see milder air moving in with this weather system, bringing a fairly soggy Saturday. Western parts turning drier and brighter in the afternoon, but even then there will be showers coming along. Turning a bit milder on Saturday, but obviously not feeling all that pleasant with the breeze and the rain. That scoots away, and Sunday compared to Saturday looking much drier and much brighter, with the winds a touch lighter as well. Goodbye.
Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
Hello there, I'm Eamon.
And I'm Isabel.
And you're watching the GB News digital stream across the United Kingdom.
And around the world.
If you're here in the UK, you can also watch us on your TV screen. GB News is Freeview channel 236.
On Sky, we're channel 515.
626 on Virgin Media.
Just remember, you might need to retune your TV to watch the channel.
Yeah, and if you are doing that, find out more about retuning by going to gbnews.uk.
Join my show Farrar, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon
and Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
Welcome back to Headliners. I'm Dominic Frisby, and with me are model citizen Josh Howie and model railway enthusiast Nick Dixon. And so to a really stupid story in the Daily Mail, one of those that is going to have you going WTF. Over £250,000 of public money spent by the Equality Commission on a legal battle that lasted 7 years because a cake shop refused to fulfil an order. Josh, you are in charge of cakes.
Yep, well, thank you. I don't know what that's saying about how much weight I've put on over Christmas.
Well, no, you just...
I thought you were going to say model. I thought you were going to say model citizen. I thought you like model. I was like very excited. I'm
you did, but you were still thrilled by the compliment.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate it. Yeah. So this has been going on, I can't believe it's 7 years. I remember hearing about this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've read about this loads of times. So yeah, in Belfast, Asher's Bakery, they were asked, Daniel and Amy MacArthur, who are Christians, like this guy here, were asked to make a cake with support gay marriage on it, and they refused to. And also with pictures of, they wanted Sesame Street puppets, Bert and Ernie. So first of all, there's some trademark issues there right there. Secondly, it was £36.50 for the cake, which I think is quite a lot of... I mean, they could have gone Costco, and they'll write anything for you there.
Oh, really? Can you get bespoke cakes
You
in
can
Costco?
get anything. You can get support gay marriage, do everything. I love gay marriage.
How much taxpayers' money could have saved if they'd gone to Costco?
So, yeah, these guys refuse to do it. I would like to see Daniel and Amy MacArthur. I think they should go on Great British Bake Off. And then just be set these tasks. Be like, I can't do that, I'm Christian. And then just get chucked out in the first week. So that cake is surely stale by now. Also, if they had forced them to make the cake, if they'd said, you know, reluctantly, who's going to want to eat this cake that they would... I mean, you just don't know what's going to be in it.
Oh, yeah.
If they actually went through with this cake thing. Yeah, it's £250,000. Yeah, or whatever. Yeah, it's not good. So they took them to the European Court, which I didn't even know was still a thing for us. Thought that was... does that still apply to the European Court to us?
Don't ask me.
Well, OK, I thought you were Mr. Brexit, but Mr. Money, and that's the other host. And, yeah, they've basically thrown it out, and that's the end of it now. The interesting thing was that and this was sort of defended by, $250,000 by the EHRC, but also $250,000 were put up by a Christian group. And they said, this is what someone said, the spokesperson said, I'm surprised anyone would want to overturn a ruling that protects gay business owners from being forced to promote views that they don't share. So I guess it works both ways. If you went into a gay bakery and said, I'd like to have a cake that says ban gay marriage, surely this ruling protects that as much, which I think is the way it should be.
Exactly.
What is the Christian point?
That's exactly the point. If you went into a gay bakery and said, make a cake that says Jesus hates gays or something, it would be frowned upon, right?
Have you done that?
Well, once, but I've learnt my lesson. The point, I mean, you've already highlighted that point. I was going to highlight the same bit. And
I saw you had written it earlier, so I thought I better get it in quickly.
You're right. Huge amount of money, as it says here. It said the case should never have been brought to court in the first. I first read that as the cake should never have been brought to court in the first place, because that would be influencing the jury. Yeah, but yes, it's a very serious case because it's very good that it's been overturned, because the idea of forcing someone, as people have pointed out, it's not just things you should say. It's like what Jordan Peterson talked about, compelled speech. Remember when he talked about compelled speech?
I love Jordan Peterson.
Everyone does on this channel. It was compelled speech, and it was the idea that you need to be saying, you're not just allowed to be silent, you're actually having to say support gay marriage. So it's not just enough to... They were happy to serve the customer, they'd served them before. They just didn't want to actively promote a certain message. But if you're being forced to actually promote messages, that's a new level. You see, it's different from saying nothing. You're actually being forced to say something.
Well, but they're not actually saying they're doing it for somebody else. Personally, I support gay marriage, and that's fine. But I guess it's their right.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to them who they want to serve at the end of the day.
No, but they served them. They just didn't want to. They've served them in the past. They just didn't want to promote this particular message. Because you shouldn't be able to say to someone, come to them and say, you have to promote my political message.
OK. This next story is from The Express.
I'm going to get a cake made for
You didn't grasp how important that was.
Just shush, we've got to move on. Right, Argentina, third time lucky, issues stunning nuclear weapons warning to UK over nuclear weapons in the Falklands. Nick, what is all this about?
Yes, so glad you asked me. Yes, this is Falklands now erupts as Argentina issues stunning nuclear weapons warning to UK in The Express. So they've... Stunning. Yes. Why? You got a problem with that?
No.
Now you're interrupting their stories. These aren't even my words. You've gone from interrupting my jokes to questioning the Express.
It's a stupid word.
How dare you? So it seems that the now declassified document headed Top Secret Atomic reveals HMS Hermes carried 18 of the lethal weapons. HMS Invincible transported 12, while the rest were conveyed on a ship of the Royal Fleet named Regent. Prince Andrew served on the HMS Invincible during the conflict, of course. It's not clear whether he was sweating at that time, but if he was carrying a large armament of nuclear weapons, probably
I'm not interested in HMS Hermes. Does it leave a note going, your nuclear weapons...
I was going to say that. You have to click and
collect your joke?
No, it's all right. It's all right. I didn't get onto it quick enough.
But also, this could be the reason why he doesn't sweat. It could have mutated him. It could be like radiation poisoning.
Yeah.
He could be like the new X-Men.
Right, that is a fantastic link into our next story. Mutations. The Mirror is next, and the latest craze in America is Flurona. Okay. Josh.
You know what? This is a really annoying story because it's one of those things where it's going, oh, OK, there's the first cases of Flurona diagnosed in US children. Basically, you sort of read it and you're going, oh, there's a new disease. Like, they've combined together to create this new... No. It's just people getting it at the same time. But you've got to read like a couple of pages until finally you get to a doctor who says, it's a co-infection. So it's not like this, they've combined to create this like meta disease or anything. It's just children, certainly young children, are likely to get a bunch of viruses at the same time. So that's what it is. It isn't some new thing. And the Mirror has a bit of history with the old scaremongering and the way they do this.
I don't think on those grounds we should therefore give this story any more airtime.
Well,
but you've got something to say,
well,
so I'm going to give you airtime.
No, I agree. They said it was like, it's basically equivalent to sinusitis. So it's a media hype story. Flurona, Flovid, as I would have called it. And it's basically their sequel to coronavirus. They've had COVID. It's starting to wear out. They need a new thing. So they've come up with a kind of straight-to-DVD sequel. It's the American Psycho 2 of COVID. It's the Teen Wolf 2.
Police Academy 6.
Gosh. Exactly. It's the Police Academy 6 of this virus.
OK, The Independent is next, and the former SNP, now Independent MP, Margaret Ferrier, is to stand trial in August following her infamous COVID rule breach in 2020. Nick,
yes,
tell us.
The Independent has MP Margaret Ferrier to face trial accused of train travel to London with COVID symptoms. So this was in September 2020. She basically she had symptoms. She applied for a test. Then she travelled anyway. And now she's in a lot of trouble about it. The whip's been removed. I'm not sure. At first, I thought she
travelled all around Glasgow.
Yes, at first I thought she was just coming to England for New Year's Eve, but it turned out it was actually last September. I mean, Josh sounds like he's got symptoms right now, but so it's quite ironic again. The SNP have been in favour of all these draconian rules. They can't even follow them. It's yet another story of MPs not able to follow their own rules.
Yeah.
I mean, look, she was wrong, but I got to be honest, I do feel a little bit sorry for her, because if you look at her itinerary, this is what she did. She went to the Lifestyle Leisure Centre, a little bit of a workout, Vanilla Salon, the Sweet Pea Boutique, get some clothes, and then she ends up at Vic's Bar. OK, we're talking about a 61-year-old woman on a date here.
Yeah.
OK, they can be quite tough to come by. Of course, she's not going to cancel for COVID.
You've missed out. She went to St Mungo's Church in the middle.
To pray.
She did that in the middle of the day.
To pray that it works out.
I see.
She's going down. We go to the Express next, and I can't
rattling
think
through these.
Why the Express has picked up on this story. Some Tory MPs are asking for the BBC to play the national anthem at the end of the day's programmes to foster unity and pride in our nation. Josh, I've always had you down as a nationalist.
Absolutely. In fact, I think that GBNews, we should take the lead on this. We should just have like 3 hours worth of just playing the...
All the presenters have to stand at the start of each show.
Yeah, we all have to prove, to get the job, we have to be able to prove that we know all the lyrics. Why not put a little 5-minute little snippet when...
They used to do it.
Yeah, they used to do it. They do it on Radio 4. They used to do it, but of course all the channels went 24 and they started sticking on repeats and stuff. But why not stick a little 5-minute thing in there? And I actually genuinely... I've had an idea, but they could put it out to people, tender it to people to come up with different versions, like drum and bass...
This needs to happen, because I will say one thing about our national anthem. It is not a very good song. It's not a good national anthem.
Look at that, you made him do a spit take.
To say such sacrilegious things.
Wow, okay.
It's like, if you look at the world's best national anthems, it ranks really low. Do you know which has the best national anthem?
Israel.
No.
United States?
Uruguay.
OK.
And it's like 13 minutes long, and it's got more key changes than any other. And second is Russia.
Are you one of these Land of Hope and Glory people, or...?
I don't really... Land of Hope and Glory is a better song than the national anthem. I like I Vow to Thee, My Country as well, Holst.
OK.
So,
the thing about this is although
I'm all for... They should drum and bass it and...
Or just have different versions. That could be like the cool thing
to do it.
every week.
Yeah.
Well, it's another part of this ongoing war between the government and the BBC, but it's quite token stuff, isn't it? We do live in a left-wing dominated culture. You've got the police, the BBC, the civil service, all left. But this is a fairly trivial battle, I think.
I think that the more... Oh,
he's going to...
No, I've got to go to a break. Can I go to a break? Is it really good?
No.
I can go to a break. Right.
It was rubbish. It was rubbish.
It was good rubbish, what he was going to say. We're going to take an ad break. Don't go anywhere. Part 3 is coming right up, and it is the best bit.
Hello there, I'm Eamon.
And I'm Isabel.
And you're watching the GB News digital stream across the United Kingdom.
And around the world.
If you're here in the UK, you can also watch us on your TV screen. GB News is Freeview Channel 236.
On Sky, we're Channel 515.
626 on Virgin Media.
Just remember, you might need to retune your TV to watch the channel.
Yeah, and if you are doing that, find out more about retuning by going to gbnews.uk.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilized conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
Welcome back to part 3 of Headliners. With me are Lord Dixon of Cumbria and Baronet Howie of Crouch End, and we are discussing tomorrow's papers. The UK Border Force could go on strike, according to The Guardian, over Priti Patel's plan to turn back refugees. Well, with all those people crossing the Channel, I thought they already were on strike. Nick?
Yes, The Guardian, UK Border Force could strike over Channel refugee pushback plan. It's a controversial plan. Border Force officials could strike over Priti Patel's morally reprehensible, it's a quote, plans to turn back dinghies in the Channel, a unionist said. So it's this pushback stuff. It's not clear if they literally push the dinghies, but it's virtually that. It's quite a harsh measure, and this union is claiming it may not even be legal. And this is in The Guardian, but I read The Telegraph to check what actually happened, and they are saying roughly the same thing. So that was a cheeky one for the GB audience. But what did you think, Josh? Because you're looking at me.
No, it was good. It was a good one.
What were you going to say?
It's illegal. It's incredibly out of order.
Well, it's not clear if that's what's being debated.
It's massively illegal. It goes against international maritime law. To not help people in need is beyond disgusting. And even to put it on the table is absolutely ridiculous. This is how desperate they are.
But they, at the same time, the refugees or the traffickers are exploiting that law.
No, of course,
putting
of course
the people
they are,
in a situation.
But it still doesn't take away any moral obligation to save people's lives or to, worse, put people's lives at risk. But this is how desperate they are, is that the government continues to consider various options to tackle the issue, and they've invited businesses in hope of hearing innovative ideas. So they're just so desperate for any idea. It's a really hard thing to try and solve.
What is your solution? Because
entrepreneurs, who else is going to solve it?
Look, a total of
entrepreneurs solved it than a dictator.
It's just they're just like, please, anybody help us. There's someone they can chuck it to.
A total of 28,300 people crossed the Dover Strait on board small boats in 2021, triple the number for 2020. So what would you do, Josh?
What happened in 2020, do you think?
What would you?
Very cold.
What would you do?
They hadn't rattled onto it. Right, we're going to move on. It's unsolvable, and we've got a Pamela Anderson story next, which is much more fun for all sorts of different reasons. And why would The Sun be covering a Pamela Anderson story and not The Telegraph, one wonders? Josh?
Well, I did check the Telegraph version just to make sure that this story was legit. And, new trailer has come out. The second trailer for the Pamela Anderson, it's called Pam and Tommy.
OK, on that note, we are going to watch the trailer for the first time somewhere. It's going to appear on our screens. Here we go. And we can talk over the trailer. There she is.
She looks good.
Yeah, it's not actually Pamela Anderson, just to point out to Nick.
I recognise her from my hard drive.
I, Tonya was a great movie, by the way. If anybody has the director of that, it's a great.
Also, the Motley Crue book, the Dirt.
It was the movie that the director had their previous film all about Tonya Harding.
You can't hear it here, I don't think, but they got Meatloaf playing "I Would Do Anything for Love" on the trailer. I don't quite understand because that's why don't they play a Meatloaf? Why don't they play a Motley Crue song? Is that too obvious?
To give him more money. But Lily James playing Pamela Anderson, and she looks the part. She looks great. She's a bit of a chameleon. You'd sort of recognise her. She was in Yesterday, which was a terrible movie. Cinderella.
Seth Rogen.
Baby Driver.
Terrible opinions, reasonable act.
Yes.
Seth Rogen's in
Seth Rogen, not a fan of Seth Rogen. I don't mind his movies and stuff, but online he's very much a bully.
Terrible person.
Yeah, and there's a bit of grievous. There's some dodgy reputational stuff as well.
Sure, but this actually looks like quite an interesting story, because it was all about the sort of how they stole... This sex tape was basically stolen from a safe from the house. And then it was like, how did they monetize it? That's what you like, get it out there in an era of just where the sort of internet was taking off. So it actually does look like an interesting story. And also...
You can just see her over your shoulder there, looking... Yeah. I mean, it's incredible how they get her to look like that. Hair and makeup, great job.
Yeah.
Best hair and makeup at this Oscars.
But yeah, the question is, did they deliberately leak the sex tape? Because this was like a more naive time, Josh, before people deliberately leaked tapes.
No, it was stolen.
This one wasn't deliberate, whereas now, of course, everyone...
I see, yeah.
Everyone and
also, hopefully, it will deal with some of the...
That's how I got the GBNews job.
Comedians have leaked sex tape. We don't need to go into it.
Yeah, you guys got a sex tape?
Several.
Cool.
But it's MP4.
And you can only buy it with Bitcoin or a non-fungible token.
Do you not subscribe to my YouPorn channel?
Your newsletter? I'm afraid not, sorry.
I've got my own channel. Right, we're going to go to the Telegraph next, and Rafa Nadal has got involved in the Djokovic vaccine row. Nick
is so excited. Look at him, he's ready.
Here he goes.
I'm just angry, but... Yes, in the Telegraph, Rafa Nadal takes swipe at Novak Djokovic over Australia visa route and tells rival get vaccinated. Slightly exaggerated if you watch the interview. He wasn't that strident about it. But, I mean, it'll surprise tennis fans that... Because all tennis fans obviously think Nadal would never inject himself with experimental drugs. He would never do that. But also, it turns out he's had both vaccines. Why hasn't he had the booster? Is he an anti-vaxxer? I don't understand. But anyway...
Maybe his age?
He is... Well, you only need 2 to get into Australia. But he has criticised Djokovic for this, but it's outrageous the way Djokovic has been treated. The Tennis Association said there was no problem. Tennis Australia said there was no problem with him going over. Then he goes over. Lo and behold, there's a mistake on his form. The Australians clearly have made an example of him. They put him in a room on his own for hours with nothing. They've sent him to a hotel. They've put him in a detention centre with migrants where the windows are sealed shut. People have found maggots in food. They've put him in this horrendous conditions. It was a complete farce because they told him he could go over, and then they treat him like this. It's obviously to make an example of him. It's appalling treatment. #1 tennis player in the world. Serbia is outraged. His father is outraged.
His dad's gone
quite
nuts.
rightly.
His dad, yeah.
Quite rightly. Australia, ever since COVID, they've been just destroying their reputation as a serious civilised country.
Quite high Serb immigration There's quite a big Serb community in Australia. There's a lot of people with Serb heritage.
Taking it very personal, but his dad said that he told a press conference that his son would not be defeated by anybody, not even the Australian government. And, they are rubbish at tennis. I would like to see that match. Maybe that's how he can get access to the country.
Good backhand slice.
Yeah, if he could just sort of go and literally play every member of the Australian government, and then he'll be let in if he wins.
See, it's an important way to treat him. People were talking about, at first, he shouldn't have special treatment, right? Which I agree with, but he didn't have special treatment. He actually got a medical exemption. One of the reasons you can get it is having a positive COVID test in the last 6 months.
You can also get it if you're #1 tennis player in the world.
So it may well be legitimate. He was told he had the exemption. It's an independent panel. It's de-identified, so they don't know it's him. He goes there, he gets treated appallingly. It's a joke, and that's what I've got to say about it.
Right, this is quite a good story for the tax planners. This is from The Sun. Boxer Tyson Fury paid himself just £70,000 last year, despite banking a whopping £40 million. I think it's his net worth is 40 million. I think he banked 20 million. But Josh, and before we come to this story, I'm just going to do a quick spoiler alert. I think the best part of this story is Tyson Fury's kids' names.
I know. I thought my kids had some crazy names, but Tyson's, there's Venezuela, Valencia, Athena, these are the girls. Prince John James, Prince Tyson II and Prince Adonis.
Prince Adonis.
Wow.
He'd really gone to town by child number 6, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's got any more kids than you?
I know what I do. The thing is, I've learned not to say anything bad about Tyson Fury. Actually, he was at a gig, Manchester Comedy Store a few years ago, and he got up. As I walked on stage, he got up, and him and someone walked out. As you know, obviously they'd seen my act before, and then just as they were getting to the door, this tiny guy who was with him just turned around and goes, "Don't say a word." And then
to you,
yeah, to me, like because when he got up, everyone knew he was there, everyone was excited. And then he just, like, literally, as I walked onto the microphone...
Why did he get up and walk out?
I don't know, but it literally... I hadn't even said it. If it had been like, give me one joke, mate, let me just whatever. He obviously took one look at me and was like, nah, this ain't for me. So he just walked out with the guy, and this guy was like, don't say a word.
He'd seen all your pro-Deontay Wilder content online.
He'd seen my sex tape. And,
so let's do the... Is that the end of the story?
No, the end of the story is I didn't say a word, and in the end I just stood there for about 10 minutes in silence, and it just got funny.
Oh, I see.
Because I was like, Tyson Fury, he told me, I'm not saying a word, I just sat at the back of the gig, and it was right.
Very good. Right. It's like watching the gorilla sitting in a rocking chair. Anyway,
yeah.
Tell us what the story is.
So, yeah, I mean, he paid himself $70,000 last year. The year before, 2020, he paid himself £2,000. I mean, he lives in Morecambe, so he's bought a 1.7 million home there.
But I think he's bought it this year.
This year, yeah.
So he must have bought it with company money.
But you've got to understand that Morecambe, it's like, in LA, that would be like a $500 million home. So, I mean, he's still, like, got a good lifestyle. He's got a great lifestyle. And why does he need to pay himself that money? It's just, it's there, and he's invested it, and he's giving it. He's a smart guy.
Yeah, you keep the money. He pays himself. It's the company structure. All freelancers, or a lot of freelancers do it. You pay the company. The money sits in the company. The company pays corporation tax, and he pays himself a dividend. But it is remarkable that he only paid himself 70 grand, even living in Morecambe.
And let's point out, he gave his $7 million purse from the first Deontay Wilder fight to homeless charities, because he saw all the homelessness in LA. And also, he's just a frugal person. If you watch that documentary about him, he goes down to the tip and he finds a poster of Peter Schmeichel and he saves it for his kid. That's how frugal Tyson Fury is, as well as being a general legend, best boxer in the world.
Right. Do you know any extremists in your life? Are you wondering what the solution might be for them? Well, it might just be that some Jane Austen or Shakespeare is the solution. A judge has ordered an extremist who downloaded countless bomb manuals to study classic literature. And Nick, I can see you frowning and looking about as if to go, who's doing this one? And I think you're supposed to be doing it.
Definitely Nick's got this
Never heard of this story, no idea.
Never heard of this story.
No.
In that case, we shall move on to the next one, because I think all the best bits were in the auto cue anyway. And it's funny, because I thought that was quite a good introduction, and I know you normally don't like long introductions to your pieces, but in that instance, I was glad I did a little one. Right, bird flu is back, and according to The Guardian, somebody has got it.
Yeah, I can do this one. I'll do this one for you. The Guardian, rare bird flu case detected in person in southwest England. So the story is basically there was a bird flu case, but it's not actually that important. But if you want to get scared anyway, you can. I mean, the point is it's very rare. It says it's really rare that they're transmitted to humans. It only occurs as a result of direct long-term contact with poultry. So try and avoid that, Josh, if you can.
Do my best.
Direct long-term contact.
This could be good news for Johnson. This could be another. This is what he needs for another lockdown. Let's get off that story.
Poultry comes after road, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it only happened because the unnamed person acquired the infection from close and regular contact with a large number of infected birds, which they kept in and around their home over a prolonged period of time. It's not clear why one would do that.
Well, if you keep chickens, have you ever kept chickens?
Yes.
It's nice, and they wander in and out of the house.
Of course I haven't. I trumped you with the answer. I just got you with that.
I thought you might in your rural upbringing.
How dare you?
Out of Grasmere or whatever.
We had things.
I kept chickens in Wandsworth.
My uncle had chickens and things like that up in Scotland, but yeah.
You do, and when they wander, and they're very inquisitive, and you'll be like in the kitchen, and they'll wander in the kitchen, and then you pick them up and you stroke them.
If there is an outbreak,
the next thing you've got
we
bird
should be checking your home first, is what you're saying.
This is funny.
Foxes got
this
them.
is another one of the classic story where the Guardian is like, they put it right at the end of the story, and the professor, Mike Tiddelsley, says, this is clearly going to be big news, and then he just says everything why actually it's impossible to get it, and it's very not big news.
I like the fact that the professor of bird flu is called Tiddelsley.
Tiddelsley.
It's another name that suits the job. Right, I don't think I'm ever going to enjoy reading an introduction as much as this next one. So much so that I'm choked. A new Bluetooth-powered device designed to fit snugly between the anus and testicles in an area commonly known as Biffin's Bridge, promises to end premature ejaculation once and for all. And as the Daily Star puts it, it's coming soon. Who saw premature ejaculation?
Me! I've been talking about it! And I'm finished. So yeah, I didn't know this. Premature ejaculation affects about a third of men. 3 of us here. Who is it?
I think we all know.
I think we know who it is.
Well, you're the one with all the kids, so I don't know. I mean,
well, exactly. That means that I managed that I wasn't.
Oh.
So it's definitely not me. He's got kids. Have you got kids?
4.
Yeah. So
nice.
No kids, right? Yeah. Well, there we go. So I like
That's
this.
slander.
I like this thing here. They basically said that it's designed to fit snugly between the testicles and the anus. Nothing is designed. You ain't gonna get nothing comfortably fit in there.
Must be ribbed, slightly ribbed.
Yeah, and it's got its own app, and supposedly it works like a sort of TENS machine for the people who have a kid, where its electrical current will sort of disrupt the signal when things are about to happen.
Okay.
So that's the idea behind it, and it'll be controlled by an app, i.e. you can sort of, your partner will be like, no, I'll just keep it going a little bit longer. And
that bit seemed open to abuse to me. Thanks to its Bluetooth functionality,
You're already seeing how it's going to affect you badly.
It can be controlled using a smartphone app by either the wearer or their partner. Isn't that a bit weird? They've got this amount of control over you.
Yeah.
Bit disturbing, isn't it?
This is not, I mean, look, to be honest, I have the opposite problem. Anyway, let's go to a break.
Someone invented a thing called the Pavlok. They're on Shark Tank in America, and that was to stop you if you had a habit you didn't want to do, like you're drinking. It would just give you a little zap. Two can play at these games. It would give you a little zap to stop you doing the thing you had it on your wrist, and when you went for the bottle, it would give you a little. So this is quite similar to that, but sort of the opposite in a way. It keeps you going.
Well, I thought
people have electric fences.
Yeah, I mean, this was in the Daily Star, and the amount of times that they use the phrase "coming." I mean, come on, Daily Star, have some pride. I mean, you're a serious publication. Please, go on.
Right, we've got another story from the Star now. Strangers keep asking a woman who has recently cut her hair if she is Princess Diana's daughter. Now, there's a story.
Yeah.
Nick.
Yeah, and I'll read it, very, very soon.
Do we have a picture?
Oh, there's the picture.
Hey, that's the worst Lady Di impersonator ever.
Yeah.
Anyway, right.
I was amazed at the story. She said basically, I can't find it now, but she basically said that she goes to the shops.
Take my one.
And she goes to the shops, and everyone stands and asks her. She was buying some milk, and everyone stood and just said, "Do you realise you look so much like Princess Diana?" Good thing it's not Meghan she looks like, or she'd probably just get slapped or something. But people have actually stopped her and said, "Do you realise? I mean, do you think she looks that much like her?"
No, not at all. But she's 24 years old. I worked out the dates.
Mm-hmm.
It could be reincarnation.
Oh my goodness!
Could be the thing. Who knows? Well,
the Star got that.
No, the Daily Star. I came up with it. I did the maths myself.
Oh my
inspired
God,
by
there's
you.
A story for them there.
Yeah.
I've lost the story, but it's basically
I
that.
get Tony Blair is the one I always get. I get look like when I shave, I get told.
I get Nick Dixon.
The Jewish Nick Dixon.
I'm going to be filing a complaint about bullying straight after this show. Workplace bullying.
Who do you get? Who...
Do you know what? I used to always get Jason Manford, and then other people said they couldn't see it at all, and other people said they could. And then
his brother, you've got a similar sort of shape around.
But then he started a pylon of me online, so now he's dead to me forever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, unfortunate.
You still looking for that story?
Yeah.
We have got a story about a sighting of a big cat in Exmoor. Who's doing the big cat story?
I think it's Nick as well.
No, it's not. It's the first I've heard of it.
Okay.
I can improvise on it if you want.
Go on, improvise on big cats, Nick.
Well, I'm against it. I've always been vehemently against rare cats, big cats showing up willy-nilly.
Yeah. There's been a sighting of the rare, notorious beast of... I thought it was the beast of Bodmin, but anyway, it's the beast of Exmoor.
And is that a photo?
That's an artist's impression. Right.
Why is there a nun? Is there a nun in there? What's the thought? There's like a bubble with a nun.
Yeah, and it looks like a Spanish villa.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like... I've never been anywhere in Exmoor that looks like that. No. But it's a very angry cat all the same. Right, should we go on to another story? No, we don't have any more stories.
Oh.
Right. So let's take this opportunity.
We got one about Prince Andrew.
Twitter feeds and things like this. Josh, what is your Twitter feed? How can people follow you?
At Nick Dixon.
At Nick Dixon.
At Nick Dixon on Twitter for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
Please
and
follow
what is
me
your-
for any viral clips about COVID and stuff like that.
Very good.
They can follow me at Nick Dixon Comic, the AX1 Comic, but don't comment on how today's show went. But just in general, just follow me on Twitter and all those things.
Okay.
Or Getter now under my own name at Nick Dixon. Just simply
right,
that.
Getter's
If you're
like
into
the sort of-
Getter,
yeah.
that's the new. That's where all the cool kids are.
I'm not on Getter. I don't even
He
know
doesn't know
about
what it is.
Okay, no,
Oh
it's
my
the new
God.
one, the
I'm
uncensored
on
one.
MySpace.
Right, that's have good gigs this weekend, and
Thanks,
that's
mate.
all we've got time for tonight. Headliners will be back tomorrow night at the same time with Mark Dolan presenting for the first time. I'll be back on Monday. Thank you to my guests, Nick Dixon, who you can follow on Twitter or Getter, and Josh Howie, who you can also follow by following Nick Dixon. I do hope you've enjoyed yourselves tonight, gents, and I do hope you at home have enjoyed yourselves too. Thank you for watching. Until tomorrow, cheerio.
It's time to remind ourselves there's always another winter. Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
Good evening. It's another cold one out there tonight. Not quite as frosty as last night, but still the potential for things to be problematic in the morning. Some heavy snow showers in places.